Great. Yeah, thank you and welcome everyone. It's very nice to be here and speak about this project. It's certainly one that's near and dear to our hearts, and we've had a lot of great, learning and lessons, both good and bad, with this project that we will hopefully have a chance to share. Nice to see some familiar faces here as well. So hello to those of you that are here who I know, and for joining to everyone. So I'm going to share my screen, and or maybe I'll get Annalise to share my screen. That's not working like it. Annalise, are you here? Can you share the presentation?
I am here, but it doesn't look like I have screen sharing abilities.
Give me a second. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm good. We're good. So so this project, we've been leading as the development lead since 2018, since the beginning of 2018. So, so first of all, Purpose Driven is a development and planning firm, which I founded exactly 5 years ago this month. And we're focused on unlocking potential for redevelopment to create communities where we all can thrive. And so that means communities, cities, investors, and the planet. We bring a triple bottom line approach to development after having 20 plus years in the development sector, leading over $1 billion in complex mixed use development projects over the last 2 decades. And we work with partners and clients that include private sector, nonprofit projects like the one today we're going to speak about. We work also a lot with First Nations and with government. So typically our clients have land, and we bring a triple bottom approach to the redevelopment of those sites with them as a partner. So, actually, just 1 second. Here we go. So some of our projects have been across Toronto and BC. They include larger scale master plan projects as well as smaller infill mixed use projects. And I really already spoke about the groups that we work with, but we certainly, because we have this deep background in private sector development, we bring a private sector approach to working with a lot of our nonprofit and First Nations clients and government clients, but with their mandate at the forefront of the project. So this project that we're speaking about is a partnership with Soroptimist International of Vancouver. So they are a local nonprofit, and they own a site at 13th and Cambie. So it's 546 West 13th. And they're a really interesting organization because they were formed in 1926. And a local chapter here in BC was formed also, that was primarily sort of professional women at the time who were leaders, and they formed this local chapter of Soroptimist International. And their mandate is providing women and girls access to education and training to achieve economic empowerment. Our challenge in working with them was, how do we take this mission that they have about improving the lives of women and girls through education and training? How do we take that mission to a physical real estate development project on their land? Because they're actually the only chapter across the world that had real estate assets. This was something very new for them. We worked together, as I said, since the early start of 2018, and we co-developed a vision for this project that is about housing for women by women. So the site already had a small affordable housing project on it, 21 units of housing, and the building was quite aging, and most of the tenants there are older, elderly women. And so we came up with a mandate of housing for women, really expanding the opportunity for affordable housing on the site, focusing the housing for women, but leading the project with a team, an all-women team, in order to really demonstrate the leadership of women across the real estate industry in delivering, designing, and developing this project. So that's really the mandate and sort of how it came to be. And the vision for the project I already talked about a little bit is that it's housing for women by women. We bring this gender-based approach to the delivery of housing. And because the team from start to finish right now has all been women, we've really been able to do that. So in terms of the goals of the project, they're about providing a community of support for the women who will live there. It's definitely about, focusing on delivering affordable housing, environmental sustainability, enhancing the neighborhood, ensuring safety, well-being, and peace of mind, and encouraging social connections. You can see that here, that was really at the start of the project vision, encouraging that social connection and that social inclusivity across the women who will live in the building, and providing diversity of integration of all ages. So this project is targeted to senior women, workforce women, and women-led families. So it's really about creating, housing that is life cycle focused for women at all stages of their life, to have that kind of social continuity and connection among women at different stages of life as well. Other aspects of the vision are to provide, some kind of education, and the building is very also focused on accessibility, partially because, we're focusing on seniors as well. So this is our team, or some of our team. And, we know that, delivering this project, because the mandate is for women by women, so far we've been able to achieve that with the design team of, architects, landscape architects, engineers. When we get into construction, obviously, as those of you in the industry know, it's not going to be possible for it to be all women. There's just not all women in construction, enough of them. Even if we pulled them across the corners of the earth, I don't know if we'd be able to do it, right? I see Bruce laughing over there. So what we've been able to do, though, on this project is find a construction partner, a construction manager who's really aligned with this vision. And so we're working with LEDCorp. First of all, I want to say our architect is GBL. So Emila Brudar and her team are on this project, and it's all women from their firm, which is amazing. We've just loved working with them. And then for the construction side, this whole project has really been about selecting. We've spent a lot of time in procurement to get consultants and partners on the project who are very aligned with the vision. And so when we did that for a CM, we ended up choosing LEDCorp, and they've just really embraced this vision. So they, in fact, are looking across all of their construction sites to find women that they're pulling together for our project. So it's not going to be all women on the construction, but we're likely going to have a woman lead and like a pretty strong woman team on the construction side, which is very cool. So this is the project. This is the visual for the building. I'm going to get into the social connection elements of it, but as you know, the social connection was very part of the vision. And so all of the elements of the design and the program have been done with that as a center point of why we've been doing this and how we've been doing this project. So the building is a very simple form. It's kind of a very simple, low cost form. And we really wanted to maximize the space for the units and the housing, and also areas in the building for social connection and shared space that we could create. So we really maximized the floor plate. It's a 7,500 square foot floor plate, which is a large building. And where we got the architectural kind of excellence and elements is through the articulation of the balconies, as you can see. So that's really where the design element comes in. And the building has a lot of shared space. I'll get into the details of it. It's 135 units of housing. So it's a mix of one studios to 3 bedrooms up for the families, and it's a mix of affordability as well. So we have deep subsidy units, and then we have rent geared to income units, and then we have below market rental units, which will be about 15 to 20% below market rents in the area. So it's 100% affordable. And we were able to achieve that because of participation of BC Housing and CMHC, who have both offered grants and low-cost financing to this project. And so the city of Vancouver's also participated in this project through waiving DCLs and contributing through early commitments through their CHIP program, which is their new affordable housing program as well. So we have all 3 levels of government participating in this project, which is why we've been able to achieve the levels of affordability that we have. Without them, we still would have been able to make this project work financially, but the market rents would have had to have been much higher, like true market rents, to cross subsidize for the lower, more affordable rents in the project. And I've already spoken about this. So the rent levels are 20% are deep subsidy, 50% rent geared to income, and 30% are 15 to 20% below market in the area. So we've talked about the funders already as well. So I'm going to jump into the design for social connection, and maybe I'll just quickly ask for a time check. How much time do I have left here?
We're quite close to time, so I'll give you a couple of extra minutes.
Okay, no problem. So as I said, the development brings women together across all stages of life to create a building of support, inclusion, and community. And there are a few ways that we do that. First of all, on the ground floor, I think one of the most innovative ways, it's a really big building on a really small site. So you can see there's not a lot of outdoor space. We've dedicated some of that outdoor space to, in the back area here, you can see a Zen garden, a natural play space for children. And then the rest of the space is kind of outdoor space for the families in these ground level units. But what I think we've done really well in this project is that we have a really large lobby with a huge seating element that you can see here. So we're really thinking of this lobby as a living room for the building. So you can think about, senior women who might be feeling socially isolated, they can come spend time in this space. There's lots of seating for them, so they can connect and they can find, shared space to hang out. And the lobby is going to be beautiful with lots of natural light. And then, single mothers and their children, as they kind of come in and out, they can build those social connections with whoever is spending time in the lobby. So this would be really what we're thinking is a living room for the building, where people can kind of come where they want to have those social interactions and experiences, or just want to hang out because they're feeling a bit isolated or lonely. We've also really focused on the laundry room as we've given a lot of space to the laundry room, kind of for the same reason, is that just space for social interaction and discussions and informal kind of gathering to happen while people are doing their laundry. And we'll keep going. Building lawn, yeah, we've already spoken about this. So this just gives you a visual of the building entrance. And then the other area, the main area we've created for social connection in the building is also the rooftop. So most projects, the rooftop, I don't know if you saw in the earlier rendering, but the rooftop has views to the North Shore Mountains and across the city. It's going to have amazing, amazing views. Lots of buildings will leave these spaces for the units, so you can maximize your revenue from the units. We took the opposite approach and kept all of this rooftop outdoor space and indoor amenity space, also with the amazing views. We're giving this to all of the tenants in the building. So we have a beautiful rooftop terrace with incredible views that will be shared for everyone, and same with an indoor amenity space that's being designed for, education events, social functions, gathering, and then we have and also like workspaces, right? So there'll be like co-working opportunities We also have a small amenity space for yoga and meditation or quiet reading on this side as well. So we're almost through here. So other opportunities for social connection, I think this is our last slide. We are also doing planning programming. So we have a partnership here on property management with Atira Property Management. So Atira will do property management of this building, and they have a lot of programs that they can offer the residents of the building, or they have connections with other organizations that can do programming. So we have that space for education and workshops. We're planning that kind of thing for single mothers, economic empowerment workshops, workshops for food and wellness and family care, because we have that little kitchen inside the amenity space, legal advocacy. So those are the kinds of workshops that will be offered in that shared amenity space that's on the rooftop indoors. And I guess the last thing we're going to end on is that this project has kind of blown our mind with how much attention it's gotten in the media. What's really interesting about that is that, I think this really shows that there is a consumer demand for, this kind of project that does this type of mandate of housing for women, housing by women, but also the social inclusion. That's been a huge topic in our interviews, is what does this project do above and beyond? And that there's a consumer demand and there's like stakeholder expectations to start to do this type of work more often. And that's where I'll end. Thank you.
Amazing. What an exciting project. Thank you so much, Carla, and thanks for sharing this this project with us. I know a lot of people are probably wanting to ask questions. We still have a bit of time, about 10 minutes for questions. So I'm gonna ask, you can either write your questions in the chat and I'll try and read them, or you can just unmute yourself or raise your hand and we can get started. I'll try keep us going in order. So who wants to go first? Who wants to ask a question? Anwar, you have your hand raised.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yes.
Great. Hi there. I'm sorry, I'm not figuring out how to screen or have my video on because I'm through Everbright and I have limited buttons, but great presentation. I was just wondering if there's an emergency preparedness component. We're looking at a few multi-unit buildings in Westminster and realizing that the heat wave and the pandemic has really highlighted that some of the multi-unit buildings are not well situated to be prepared for emergencies, having a coordinator. So was there any thought given to that component of the building?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think I didn't talk about the project process, but we just completed our rezoning. So we're preparing a development permit application right now. So we're about a year away from construction, and I would envision that that's a piece of the project that will come a little bit later on. But in terms of has there been thought given to it? Yes, we've really been thinking about it in light of exactly what you said, the heat waves that we've experienced, that we realize there needs to be some sort of plan, given that there will be like senior women and heat waves. And yeah, that will definitely be something that will be part of our ongoing discussions moving forward. We're just not quite at that stage yet, but thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So it seems like the raise hand function is working well because it brings whoever raised their hand right to the front of my screen so I can see them. And you can get that from the reactions button at the bottom here, and raise your hand. So next up, I'm seeing Kendall, and then I have a question in the chat. I think that I'll jump and read out after. So Kendall, the floor is yours.
Hi, Carla. Thank you for a great presentation. I was just wondering, in terms of the operations programming, if this building is being built under the CHF program, if you encountered any challenges in terms of building a rationale for a higher OPEX budget, and if you'd have any kind of tips or tricks for building a justification for maybe a higher OPEX than a standard rental would come with.
what do you mean by
Oh,
OPEX?
like an operation, your operations budget, like per unit per month.
Oh, great. Oh my gosh, such a good question. First of all, I think we should talk offline because that's probably why don't you get in touch with me. Like that's like I'll have a lot more to share with you then. Let's talk offline about that. But I do want to thank you for asking. We did get a CHF award. Our project was actually the largest project, biggest kind of project with per units, and the largest budget across BC that was awarded the CHF. So we were really honored and thrilled to have the CHF award. The challenge with CHF, I'll tell you, the biggest challenge to this topic today is that BC Housing has guidelines that only allow 1,500 square feet of shared space. So our biggest challenge to achieving the social connectedness that was part of our vision was trying to make that work within 1,500 square feet of space, that's all BC Housing funds as part of their projects. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And Kendall, please get in touch with me and I can speak at length about your question.
Thank you. I had a feeling I might be getting too into the weeds.
No, it's a great one.
That's really interesting. Only 1,500 square feet of shared space. Thank you, Kendall, for the question. I'll take a question from the chat here. I think Charito Galing is next. It says, is there any chance of including childcare services in the amenity spaces? I live near the co-op in Olympic Village, which includes the support, which is huge for families. Carla?
Yeah, thank you. So yes, I love these questions because they're just pointing to all the challenges we ran into that I didn't have time to speak about. But this building was supposed to be 160 units and 20 stories. It's 13 stories right now. We had originally conceived it as 20 stories and with 3 levels of commercial space, which included a daycare, a co-working space, and medical office space. So it was supposed to be 160 units and have those 3 levels. We were probably 6 months into meetings with the city where there was agreement on that building concept. And then right into COVID, and some things happened at the city with this other Broadway corridor process that they were doing. So other people from the city got involved. And at that point, we were asked to make our building work with the existing view corridors. And we had to knock 7 stories off of our building and take out all of the commercial space, including the daycare. And so from a financial perspective, that was so hard to redo our entire financial model and make this project work with losing all of those rental units and all of the commercial space. So that is my answer to that question. It was supposed to have a daycare and a bunch of other things that would have made it, a much bigger project, and provided a lot more housing and an employment space in the area. And late in the game, we were asked to take all of that out after previously there being a commitment to it. So there's another challenge.
Yeah, wow. I mean, getting things done and getting them at the last stage, there's always these unforeseen things that pop up. Yeah. It's really interesting to see just how many of these barriers and challenges that you went through. I'm gonna take we have, I think, time for maybe one more question or maybe 2. We have one from Bruce Hayden. Bruce is asking, in what way does the building design reflect a gender-specific lens on social connection? Would the social aspects of the design be different if the users were more mixed gender? That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to articulate that, Bruce. It's a good question. And I think, from my perspective, what I've heard from the team, and I also our client on this is a redevelopment committee of the board, and they are also all women. one is disabled, some are elderly. So they kind of very much reflect the residents who will live in the building as well. And so, you know, their kind of participation based on their experiences and the experience of the team as women and our kind of lived experiences around, you know, living in these buildings, around feeling, you know, safe and secure, around things like, you know, different heights and things that are needed to facilitate child rearing and use of just kind of placement of things, I would say. So I know I'm not giving a very articulate answer, but it's very nuanced and it's very multi-layered, and it's even in sort of the way that this team is working together and interacting together. You know, in all of our experiences, I think you could speak to any member of the team, and it's just a very different kind of culture of working in this kind of all women environment. I think that's what I'll say about that. Specifically on the lens though to social connection, I don't know that there is something specifically different that relates those two issues together. Not that pops up right now for me. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you all for the questions. A project for women by women. Thank you so much, Carla, for sharing your presentation and your project with us. And thank you all for making the time to learn from this exciting project and for asking very interesting questions.